Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the first session of Anon Ki Pathshala Season 2, an initiative aimed at empowering individuals through insightful sessions on various life skills. I am Ila Arun Marwaha, your host for today, and I am joined by Himika Taneja as my co-host. We are thrilled to have you with us as we explore the critical art of conflict management, a skill that fosters understanding and harmony in our interactions. But before we dive into today's enriching session, let me share some quick insights about Anon Ki Pathshala's journey so far. Our previous season was a grand success, with over 350 participants joining us and engaging deeply with the topics presented. Your enthusiasm has been the driving force behind this initiative. Let me introduce you to the season 2 speakers. Today, we have Krishan Girdhar sir on the topic conflict management. Moving on to our amazing speakers, that is Mr. Vipin Tuteja. Then we have in line Mr. Rohit Katyal, Ms. Shami Pruthi ma'am, and Mr. Sandeep Bedani. So we all are excited for Anon Ki Pathshala season 2. Now, their thought provoking examples and engaging delivery truly leaves a lasting impact on all of us. And we are excited to continue this journey with even more impactful sessions this season. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all our participants. It's wonderful to see so many familiar faces returning, as well as some new ones joining us today. Your energy and enthusiasm truly sets the stage for an enriching experience. As a special treat for our amazing participants, we have a surprise in store. Stay with us until the end of today's session as we'll announce the name of the first 10 early bird joiners.
Now, I invite Dr. Aarti Girdhar, the founder and president of Anon Global Foundation, who has been a pillar of strength and guidance for this initiative.
Thank you so much, all the participants who are there in this season two. Season one was really amazing, and seeing the impact of season one, we have thought of making it more stronger. And believe me, this is the all the work behind the scene. There is so much of the team of the young teenagers involved who are making the difference, and hence they are the leaders of future. And we are very happy that many people who are in the society who want to help us, they are contributing their knowledge into this Anonki Pathshala, and hence making us more stronger. So this is what I believe, that the more the people are helping us and joining the hands, we are becoming more stronger. Today, I can proudly say, with more than 1,000 interns who have done the internship with us, they can see the world truly in a different way, because our vision is on mental health and life skills, and they are supporting us till date. With this, I just say all the best, and hope that all the participants who are there, they are gaining one or the other different version of the content that they will be looking into. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Now, let's begin with a quote that captures the essence of our topic. Conflict management is not about avoiding conflict, it's about navigating it with wisdom. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker for today's session on conflict management. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Krishan Kumar Girdhar, founder and managing director of Presto Infosolutions Private Limited, one of the leading system integrator and managed service organizations. Mr. Girdhar earned his bachelor degree in electronics and communication engineering from the Delhi Institute of Technology, now Netaji Subhash University of Technology, in 1994, and currently serves as a board member of his alma mater. As a seasoned expert in interpersonal skills and organizational behavior, he has been a guiding force for many startups and telecom companies with extensive experience in conflict resolution and management. Mr. Girdhar brings with him a wealth of knowledge and practical insights into managing conflicts effectively, whether in personal relationships or professional settings. His approach emphasizes fostering understanding, building empathy, and creating win win situations for all parties involved. Sir, the stage is yours. We are eager to learn from your wisdom and insights.
Yeah, hi everyone. A very good evening. And let me first thank the EC of Anon for inviting me on this very interesting topic. It's good to see so many participants at this hour on a weekend to understand about this particular problem that we have everyone has heard about. and we know all that it's bit difficult to have a structured approach. So the IT team, can we start with a small clip?
अपार्टमेंट में आदमी पहली बार रहना शुरू करता है तो लोगों को मिलता लगता है कितने अच्छे लोग हैं। फिर तुम उस अपार्टमेंट का व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप ज्वाइन करते हो, फिर पता चलता है कितने कलेशी हैं यार, कितने कलेश हो रहे हैं। किसी का कुत्ता खुला रह गया तो कलेश, किसी का बांध गया तो कलेश, हर चीज का कलेश। और 5-6 लोग तो ऐसे जो हमेशा नाराज हैं, वो रोज 3 नई कंप्लेंट डाल रहे होंगे, वो हर चीज से कंप्लेंट है। उनको न्यू ईयर पार्टी में भी रात को 10:30 बजे पुलिस को बुला लेंगे कि आवाज ज्यादा आ रही है। उनके साथ वाले फ्लैट वाला आदमी हमेशा सहमा ही रहता कि कहीं जोर के छींक भी मारती, ये ऐसे लिख देगा व्हाट्सएप पे, फ्लैट नंबर 1301 वेरी लाउड वॉइस कमिंग, और ऐसे लिखते हैं। ये नहीं कि 2 लाइन का लिखे, मतलब 500-500 वर्ड का। मैंने तेरे सोशल स्टडीज में तो 100 में से 100 आए होंगे। नहीं, जो नाराज वाले लोग हैं, और ये ज्यादातर वही होते हैं जो पिछले एमसी का इलेक्शन हारे होते हैं।
So I think this looks familiar with everyone whosoever has been part of the residents group for their respective RWAs. I think some of the messages that we can capture from the clip is that whatever appears calm from outside may not be same from inside, whether it is the individual, whether it is a family, whether it is a society, or whether it is any organization. Things may look very nice from outside, but internally there is a lot of conflict and a lot of turbulence which is there, and you only notice it once you get into the next level of detailing. Now what we see is that there are variety of issues what this gentleman has talked about, Mr. Amit Tandon. And before we take it forward and to avoid any further conflict, let me acknowledge that all the rights of this particular play rest with Mr. Amit Tandon and his producers, and we have used only this for educational purposes and no commercial benefit. Now there are variety of issues what he mentioned. Let's say about the dogs, dog lovers and non-dog lovers which are staying in the society. Then we have in dog lovers also we have pet lovers and we have street dog lovers. They keep on sending their views on the place to feed the pet, the place to relieve, how many parks should be made accessible to the dogs. So everyone has their own perspective, and the conflict starts from the preference of each and every individual towards various kind of initiatives or various kind of perspectives that they have. Obviously the utmost thing is the safety of the child and the senior citizen. Then comes the policy aspects, which is the legal position on taking care of these kind of pets and dogs from a MCD perspective, what police can do about this, and the political support that these street dogs enjoy. You try doing something with them and you can get some particular call from some minister's office of messing around with these innocent animals. So there are a lot of issues and a lot of perspectives, and I think this issue is one of the topmost conflict areas that we have seen in various RWs and various colonies. Only next to, I think, the conflict that we are struggling for last 77 years with our immediate neighboring country. And so there are many such conflicts which are there. Some are in our control, something which is beyond our control. And what we also realize in this particular clip is that there are some nuts which are not easy to crack, and this is across all the age groups and across all the areas itself. Another thing what we understand is that you can't make everyone happy all the time, and there are some people which will always have some agendas who will try to derail various kind of processes or activities which are getting streamlined or where the efforts have been put in by various organizations or various entities. So moving on to this subject of today, which is the conflict management. So what's a conflict? Conflict is nothing but it's a difference of opinion or a disagreement between two individuals or two groups or two entities itself. So let me just start with the presentation. Give me a while. Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
So why does this conflict happen? It's because of people may have different or same perspectives or same goals itself. So let's say there are a lot of audience which is there from the schools. I can see students from the college itself, and I can see certain teachers. I can see certain professionals who have joined in this particular session. So I'll give you a variety of examples which will vary across the spheres itself. So starting from the goals itself. So let's say in the school itself, there are people who are going for an inter-school competition, and one of the participants can only be picked up for the inter-school, let's say, debate competition, and there are 3 to 4 students who are competing for that. And obviously, one will only end up managing to the competition itself. So the goal is same, but then there is a conflict which happens between all these particular guys, and whosoever gets picked up, the other will have their own side of the story that the favoritism has been done. So these kind of things do lead to the conflicts. Then there are different kind of mindsets with the people. There are some people who have impulsive mindset. There are certain people who take things easy, and the people with impulsive mindset expects the response also coming from the other guys at the same time itself. Now with the social media on the WhatsApp, we see sending of the messages with the blue tick itself. After sending the message, one will try to see the blue tick has come in. There are two check boxes which are there, and the person has read the message and he has not responded. So we'll start thinking and overthinking about these kind of instances. And if the person sends the message after, let's say, 2 hours or maybe a day or 2 days itself, then you will think that you are not being taken on priority and he is ignoring you. There might be reasons that he has been busy with certain crucial aspects at home or maybe at office or at school itself doing something. So these are the different kind of mindset which leads to the conflict. Actually, for no reason, it might be different approach or different attitude of different set of people. Then there are, it comes because of the needs, like we have seen in the goals itself. Maybe in the needs, getting into the promotion, there is a slot which is available in some particular organization, and out of, let's say, 4 team members, one of the team member has to be picked up for the next promotion as a manager. So all these 4 people starts competing for that, and the real issue starts, the real conflict starts once one of them is promoted and one of your peer member becomes the manager. So that is where someone who has been a colleague, now he becomes the boss. So working in that kind of environment leads to a lot of conflicts. Then it's about, conflict comes from the various kind of value systems that we have, maybe for the school going children or the teenagers, the parents restricting the teenager to attend the rock shows in the evening or some sort of birthday parties in the lounges. So this also leads to the conflict between the parent and the child itself. Then maybe different style of the people you get in for a group discussion. There'll be set of people who will be extroverts, there'll be set of people who will be introverts, and in group discussion everyone is trying to score their own points. So obviously there are conflicts which come there itself, that everyone is not got the right kind of time slots to express their perspective and their views itself. Then it moves to the perception. So there is a perception which gets created for various kind of individuals by the others. So let's say one teacher may have a perception of a student being very loyal and sincere. At the same time, other teacher may have a perception that the guy is deceptive and shrewd and maybe manipulative and try to look sincere and loyal, which is actually not the case. So these kind of perceptions also lead to a conflict between different individuals. The next is something which is to do with principles. Every guy has their own set of principles to follow. Someone is flexible on that, someone is very stringent, someone would like to go through the rule book itself, and some of the guys would like to just manage the things as it comes, trying sam dam dand bhed in whatever fashion they are able to manage their activity. So these are the different approaches which are used by different set of people. And then there are different ideologies, like some people will just focus on themselves, like me and myself approach, and some will try to focus on, I would say, the growth of the individual as well as the society around and maybe the group or the team that they work in. Like we have a political statement like sabka saath sabka vikas. So there are variety of people which are there for with different perspective again. And then once you get into these kind of situations, it's different ways of handling the pressure itself that leads to the conflict. Some of the people are able to manage it well, and some uh, can't do it in a right perspective, so they yield under the pressure itself. So this is how we see various kind of reasons why this particular thing, the conflict happens. And one of the major reason of beginning of this conflict is the failure of the communication. The more we communicate, the chances of conflict will be less. But then there are certain thoughts that are created that we have communicated uh, all the things to the other person itself, whereas the other person has not captured those particular things in the right perspective. So that leads to conflict. Then there are conflict in the personalities, the way people work, the way people want to interact with others. Then there is a lack of cooperation if you are working in the teams in the school or in the college or in the organization itself. It's sort of a baton race that continues. If you're working as a team, everyone is given some particular task to carry it forward, and it could be a sequential activity or it could be a parallel activity, but then everyone has to work together to collaborate so that people are able to deliver the complete task. But when there is lack of cooperation and you don't succeed in that particular task, then there is a conflict and the blame game starts, that he has not done that and this person has not done that. That is where it also leads to conflict. Then one of the other major factors is towards the competition over the limited resources that one has. Let's say in the schools itself, there is one particular playground which is getting used by students of all the classes, maybe sixth onwards going to 12th. People are playing cricket there, football there, and the playground is not available. So that leads to conflict between various teams itself. And then in the offices itself, some shared resources like the bulk printing systems itself, someone has to take multiple prints, the finance team has to take that, the sales team has to take that, and there are limited resources which are available, even going to the extent of having the availability of the conference rooms. So it has to be first come first serve basis, but there are multiple activities which are happening, and a lot of organizations have got limited conference rooms. So that also becomes a point of contention between various teams itself. Moving on, it is the skill deficiencies in managing the relationships that leads to conflict. So you have to manage the relationships, and some relationships you can pick and choose, like your friends that you want to interface with, like some of the students that you like to work in the school itself. But once you move ahead, or even in the school itself, you don't have a choice of picking your teachers. You have to live and manage with the teachers which are assigned to you itself. Similarly, in the office, once you go, you don't have a choice of picking up your boss. You have to live and manage with your boss and the super boss, and you have to work in that environment. And different people will have their different ways of working, different attitudes, different approaches. You need to get aligned with different set of people itself. And once your boss changes, again, you have to restart this particular activity. So you need to understand how to manage these particular relationships itself. Then there are sometimes ineffective organizational system. There are policies which are made. There is school rules which are made. So it is good to know those particular school rules, something which is written and something which is not written, and something which has to be read beyond whatever has been defined. So those kind of organizational systems have to be in place and it has to be followed also. But sometimes in practice it doesn't get followed, which leads to the difference between, let's say, two groups or two classrooms following different sets of the rules, where what is laid down is a specific rule which is supposed to be followed, but then since there is a different interpretation by the teachers or by the managers, and it leads to different teams working with different frameworks itself, so that leads to conflict between different teams. Then there are certain ineffective conflict management systems, like you put in some sort of a suggestion boxes, wherein if there is some certain issues which are not getting sorted, you're not going well with the boss itself, so you can ask for a skip level meeting with the super boss itself, so that the issues gets resolved. But a lot of organizations and a lot of institutes don't have this kind of a structured management system in place, so that leads to various kind of conflicts within the organization. Then difference regarding the
teams
authority or
itself.
the responsibility. The authority and responsibility has to be clearly assigned, but sometimes due to miscommunication or misrepresentation, there are differences which arise between the teams itself, which leads to dissatisfaction with the management in terms of that someone is giving preference and there is a favoritism which is getting done with one particular team or one particular individual. So these are various things which leads to the conflict. And then we need to have right kind of leadership. So if there is a conflict which is happening within the team itself, it is the responsibility of the manager or the supervisor to address those particular things and nip it in the bud itself, so that these particular issues don't scale up and become the major conflict points which starts impacting the deliverables of the individuals. Then there are certain lack of openness which is not there, because certain people will try to keep things to their chest so that their importance is felt, and sometimes that information is required by the other teams or other individuals which is not shared, so that also leads to conflict. And then there are certain times non-compliances with the rules, or taking the advantage of certain things which are loosely defined as well as the policy framework is concerned, so that also lead to conflict between different. So there is a conflict management modeling which was done by two researchers some 40 years back by the name of Thomas and Kilman. So these were two researchers who worked on managing the conflict. And this is a very interesting slide. So if you see on the y-axis, you have the assertiveness, which is concern for yourself itself or the individual itself. And then on the x-axis, you will see the concern for others, which is the cooperativeness. And then starts from low, goes to height on both the axes. Now, if you see that uh, the top right window where you see collaborating, if you start working for self as well as for others, so try to work in a collaborative environment wherein you come together, both the individuals come together to develop a mutually beneficial solution. So which is better for both the individuals as well as for the organization or the institute that you are working for. So you see the shades of green and red in this. So green means it takes care of you as well as the other guy itself. And where it is red, it is more negative for that entity, and green gets the advantage out of that. So if both some particular conflict is able to resolve in such a fashion that it is beneficial for self as well as for the others, it's more of a collaborative approach towards the conflict management. But if you see that you want to drive your point itself, which is the top left, which is competing, so you would like to push your agenda itself, and there you will succeed, whereas the other guy is going to lose on that. Now there'll be situations where I would say you are not able to resolve a conflict and you park that particular thing for a while, so you'll start avoiding that particular issue. So it's not good for you nor good for the other individual itself, because the conflict still exists and you have not solved the conflict, you have just parked it. So it's not giving any benefit to you as well as to the other guy itself. In between comes the compromising, where you take a mid path, you reach to a consensus that okay, I'll move a distance, you move a distance, and let's compromise, which is sort of a formula where both the entities get something but both have to lose on certain aspects. So that's the compromising. And the bottom right, if you see, which is the accommodating, this is for the individuals where you are slightly concerned more for the others than yourself. So this is somewhere in the situations where there is a conflict between two teams itself within an organization, but you realize that the impact on the other function is much more than the impact on your function in terms of solving that particular conflict. So you will like to give the leverage to the other team so that it is more important for that particular team than you. So you will try to accommodate the other team itself. So these are primarily the 5 approaches which are used for conflict. And now some of the important steps which are towards conflict resolution. First of all, you have to reach out to the other guy. Look, end of the day, the conflict is not in interest of anyone. It's better to sort out these particular issues. So first point is to reach out to the other guy. So you have to leave the egos at your end and then move on and start the conversation. So get into the conversation. What I say from my perspective is एक हिंदी वाली discussion कर लेते हैं. So once the issue continues for some time, it's good to have a Hindi wali discussion. When it means that you will open up your heart, the other guy will open up his heart, and then you will say that I didn't like this thing about this particular issue. You said this, I said this, you meant this, I meant this. Let's open out so that the issue can be sorted. And trust me, there is no issue which can't be sorted without with this kind of conversation itself. So it is good to get engaged into a conversation. Identify the real issue, that what is the real issue which is bothering both the sides itself. Establish a common goal, reach to the common point itself. In these particular conversations, if there are multiple guys which are involved, allow everyone to speak so that they come out with their own concerns itself. Discuss various kind of solution options. Put everything on the table in black and white, and then you can discuss pros and cons of each of these things, and then agree on a way forward, that this is the way we are going to take it forward. So this is one of the approaches to settle any kind of a conflict. Now, some of the things which should be done while resolving the conflict is, the tone has to be very soft. Try to resolve the conflict in one or two sittings. Don't stretch it too far. You have to take care of perspective of each and every guy. You are there to fix the problem, not to put the blame on the other guy or yourself. We have to just discuss on the problem and not on the individual. If there are certain truths which have to be put across, put it very tactfully without impacting any of the guys. If there is some issue where you have, I would say, done certain wrong things, there is nothing wrong in confessing your part of the conflict, that yes, I have done something wrong and I apologize for that, and let's move ahead on this. Use the right body language, because your expressions, your body language, your seriousness, your approach, your commitment should be visible on that. Be mindful of the language that you use. Use very soft spoken words. Be open to the solutions. Sometimes you go prepared that these are the 2 3 possible solutions. You may get to hear a couple of more options also, so you should go with open mind in terms of accepting the solutions. Then acknowledge how the other people are feeling, or how the other individuals are feeling about that particular thing, and be specific and factual. Don't go into the generics, this happened that time, or going into some particular old things itself. So these are some of the things to be kept in mind. And then some of the things which should not be done. Don't keep on pointing on the other guy. Don't use you too many times. You focus on I did this, I'll try to do this, rather than pointing fingers on the other guy. Don't focus on any of the personality traits that can't be changed. You can't change an individual. You can slightly do plus or minus, but generally a person continues to work like in that fashion itself. Then don't interrupt. If someone is saying something, let him complete. Don't attack him. Don't go after him itself. Don't disregard the feelings of other. You have to show the sentiments towards the emotions which the other guy is putting up. Don't pass any negative statements. But you should not get emotional about that particular conversation. Be serious and be assertive in whatever you are discussing. And don't try to impose any personal values or beliefs. So everyone have their own preferences, own beliefs. So we have to appreciate and give regard to the other person. So conflict is something we need to prevent also. So some of the things is that we need to have conflict mediators. Sometimes you think that I can't have one-to-one. There is someone else who can help in doing the mediation, which is overall good for the organization or the group or the team itself. So try to use those particular individuals who can settle these particular matters. And these kind of conflict mediators are used for the smaller conflicts to the larger conflicts across various business groups itself. Try to reduce the interdependence on the individuals, so that there is limited impact which comes when there is a conflict between two teams. Try to do a rotation or exchange of the personnel from one role to another role, so that everyone knows what are the challenges related to the other function. Sometimes it is possible, sometimes it is not possible, but it is good to know the challenges of the other function so that you can try to fix it in your own role itself. And there has to be mechanism to appeal to the higher authority, because sometimes the issue can't get settled between the two individuals or the two teams itself. So there is a escalation matrix which has to be clearly defined on that. So these are some of the things which will help in terms of preventing the conflict to reach to the next level itself. And if we don't address the conflicts well in time, it will have the impact on the overall productivity, overall functioning. People will start taking leaves, there'll be high absenteeism, the productivity is going to decrease itself, the morale and the engagement level will be very low. People will have unnecessarily anxiety and stress. The relationships within the organization will get impacted. So the work culture is going to get impacted itself, which may lead to high iteration, the people moving out of the organization. and then you'll get to see more frequent complaints and grievances if everything is not addressed at the first go itself. So it's better to resolve these particular conflicts well in time. In terms of summarizing, I think we have already exceeded the given time. So you can't avoid conflicts. It is there in every personal life, every professional life. Trust me, conflict in personal life is going to impact your professional life also, and conflict in professional life will impact your personal life also. And these conflicts are going to go on. There are certain things like some conflicts between husband and wife, between the siblings, between saas bahu, which is going to continue, and you need to continuously work on those particular aspects. And within the organization also, the issues will happen with the subordinate, it will happen with the peers, it will happen with the bosses, it will happen across the function itself, sales or the project team, the technical teams will have issues with the HR will have issues with the finance. So these kind of things are going to continue. But let's try to work out in a philosophy where if there is a functional conflict, it should positively contribute to the performance and the understanding of different function itself. And try to use these particular techniques, whichever has been there, with the steps which I just mentioned, so that this gets appropriately used in terms of addressing these particular conflicts and create a harmonious environment at home as well as at the office or at the workplace itself. So I think that's it from my side. So it was a overall philosophy which has been shared. Obviously, there is nothing which will fit into all the conflicts. So the situation varies from individual to individual, on case to case basis itself. So different kind of strategies needs to be tried, giving some time and trying any of these. Largely, these five particular approaches should get you some results. I'm very hopeful on that. And thanks to
Thank you so much, sir.
non president and non vice president for giving me the opportunity to come and discuss on one of the tricky subjects which everyone faces in their life. So thanks once again.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your invaluable insights with us. The session was truly enlightening, and we can now manage our conflicts truly very effectively and wisely.